All right, I am going to put a question in the chat. So I'll have you guys do a little bit of writing, stuff like that too today as we go through. We'll do a little bit of teaching, any questions and answers, stuff like that, discussion things as well as we go in here. But first thing, I want you to type that in the chat there while anybody else jumps on here.
Do you want us to respond in the chat or just verbally?
Yeah, just respond to the chat. Yeah. That way we can get our thoughts as we go here. I think one of the things too, as being fathers, we don't have a blueprint for it. And we try to do the best that we can with the decisions that we make and then just learn from them, keep doing that. So today what we're going to do is look at some of the different ways that we can create awareness in our lives in order to be better fathers, to have that better, stronger connection, but also to be able to connect more with ourselves. And when we connect more with ourselves and we create more of that awareness, we're able to create more and better connections with our kids. There's things we're going to screw up. There's things we're going to do that aren't right. For me, there's different things that I know I need to be more aware of. Just like flipping out my kids, sometimes I do that and I know it's not right, but there's still times that it goes up, it happens, and then but at the same time, there are ways that I have been able to apologize. I think that's good for our kids to see, but becoming more aware as fathers allows us to become more aware of our kids and what to do. So if you could just put that in there, first question, is what is your favorite thing about being a father? Just type that in there in the side, and then we'll get rolling into some of those different things as well into the creating awareness space of being a father. And I think one of my favorite. You guys type that in there. I'll tell you. One of my favorite things of being a father is just the opportunity to help mold somebody else's life. I think that's one of the things that why I got into teaching. I think that's one of the things why I get into coaching is to help others mold their life into what they want it to be. And you guys putting in their responsibility of creating good human beings, yet like literally, and that responsibility part, great word there too, is because I think the responsibility part as well, sometimes that could be the burden part of being a father, versus hey, here's that, and your mindset shift and creating that awareness around that word, I think is very key. Unconditional love is huge, 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 huge. I did not understand that at first until that we talk about agape love is the unconditional love and not having conditions on it. My kids all of our kids may piss us off at some points in time, but that love doesn't diminish because of the behavior. And that's one of the things we can become aware, because lots of times in my past, I did this more in relationships than with my kids. But in my past, this is happening, and that love has died down, has diminished because it wasn't unconditional, it was conditional. So we don't want that for our kids. We don't want that for ourselves. We don't want to be in really any relationship that is conditional love, because it's not, if it's conditional love, it's not a relationship at all anyways. So it's just a pain in the ass. So cool, awesome, we're gonna get started here, that way we have time. And I'm going to share my screen here. Let me bump this up to the big pictures. You guys can see that then?
Yep.
All right, cool. So let's get into some of this, and I'm going to minimize everything so I can see it, or I'm going to screw everything up. But awareness is two different pieces. Okay, in those two different pieces, you have internal awareness and external awareness. Our internal awareness is your mind, is who you are, why you do what you do, all of those different things. We can relate this back to purpose. We can relate this like, hey, and here's the way I think about it, is that when you wake up and you put your feet on the ground, picture a line right there. And that line right there is exactly who you want to be as a father, as a man, as a husband, all those different things. But really tonight is as a father. What does that look like what do you feel? How do you act? How do you show up in that line? And what you do is you put your feet on that line. And when you step across it, you're saying, here is how I'm going to show up. And that is the internal awareness. Who are you going to be? But in order to actually be able to have that awareness and create those strong relationships, you actually got to know what that actually looks like. And tonight, if you don't have that written down, you don't have that, we're going to get some things in here tonight that's going to give you the opportunity. I'm going to give you two strategies here tonight that's going to give you the opportunity to be able to solidify what does this actually look like. I was asked probably 5 years ago when I started coming out of that negative spiral myself. I was talking with a guy and he's like, what's your purpose? And I said, be a great dad. And he said, what's that? And I was like, I don't know. I just want to be a great dad. And he's like, well, how can you be a great dad if you actually don't know what it looks like? And I'm like, damn it. Okay, so maybe I should actually clarify. So that was the moment of saying, hey, if I want to be a great dad, I want to be a great man, I want to be a great husband, I have to actually know what that looks like for me. And each one of us on here on the call is different, but you have to actually define it. And that takes you to write it down. That takes you to get it ingrained. I know exactly what that looks like for me now, but it took me time to be able to develop that and awareness of myself internally, but then externally allowed me to be able to zone that in to know when I step across that line every day exactly who I'm showing up as dad. Okay. What dad's showing up. It's not somebody different. It's the same dad that shows up all the time. Okay. External is your physical self, your physical environment, others, and the world around you. So, what we look at here is internal are patterns of choice. And again, your life is your choice. Like wherever you're at in life, whatever it is, however you are being a father right now to your kids, it is absolutely 100% your choice. You're the one doing those actions. You're the one choosing those patterns. And those patterns are going to get you the results where you feel like, hey, I have a strong relationship with my kids. I have a kind of in the middle of the road relationship with my kids, or I have a weak relationship with my kids, or I have no relationship with my kids. One of those four areas is where you feel you are at. And I just kind of want to get you to think about right now, what level do you feel you're at? You don't have to write it in the comments or anything, but just what level are you at? Like, hey, I have a strong relationship with my kids. I have a middle of the road relationship with my kids, a weak relationship, or no relationship. So just think about that real quick. Just have it in your mind. Because the next thought about that is, what relationship do you want? Even if you have a strong relationship with your kids, can it get stronger? And what does that look like? And how do you create that stronger? Is creating more of an internal awareness for yourself and the patterns of choice. External awareness, how those patterns actually fit into your life. Because what I choose to do not only affects me internally, it affects everything around me. And my kids are external. My kids are not internal. Okay. My kids are external and your kids are external. So the choices that you make directly affect your kids. So what does that look like? We could be at work and make a choice there, but that directly affects our kids, whether it's financial, whether it's thought process, whether it's mindset, whether it's your physical, or whatever it may be. That affects your kids at home. What are those patterns of choices that you're making? Are you making the choices to get the relationship with your kids that you want, or are you not? And external, again, we have to realize the choices we make lead to everything around us, and that includes our kids. So, any questions right now from you guys that you have about our internal awareness, external awareness, patterns of choice, how those patterns fit in? Any questions or anything that you're like, okay, that kind of stood out?
I mean, for me, my biggest question right now at the moment is like how our spouse might fit in that. Mainly due to the fact that um, my wife is very giving and very, sweet and kind to my kids, almost to me, almost too much sometimes, right?
Yep.
Where I have more stricter boundaries and I'm very much more consistent. And I feel like the kids need both, but I want them to be able to come to me. I don't want the kids to be scared to tell me things
Correct.
like they tell my wife. I don't want them, what I mean? So I feel like I have a strong relationship with my kids, but I would enjoy for them, it would make me feel better if they were not scared to come to me
Yep.
when they're, having emotional problems or any kind of help. I don't want them to be scared to come to dad for help. So is that a me thing? Is that a my wife thing? Is that a
Yep.
communication thing? You know what I mean? That's
Absolutely. I think it falls into both of these. Internally, what choices are you making? All right, Jeffrey's jumping in here too. All right. So internally, what choices are you making? Those choices are going to determine, hey, how do you communicate with your wife, in those things, and how are you on this in the end, are you on the same page? Okay. And I think that's very important of saying, hey, here's where we're taking our kids, here's where our family is going. I think that's very important. The second piece is then how do you relate to your kids in the choices that you make? So when you are, if you want your kids to come to you emotionally, you have to go to your kids emotionally, and not like, hey, this, and like, oh, like, sob stories, but you have to be able to show that vulnerability. You have to be able to show those different pieces of that, because if you want your kids to be able to come to you with it, you actually have to be the example of it. That's also that choice to your wife as well. So they have to see that as well, that you can actually have that communication and choice. And again, that comes down to patterns of choice. You're choosing to communicate with your wife in an emotional way. Again, not like crying and all that. Like if you want to, that's okay. But like for me, my kids know that I can have a hard conversation with them, and I can have a soft conversation with them, because I've done both. Um, but I wasn't always like that. So that's where those choices come in and how they fit into it. Toby.
Yeah, I wanted to, it's very similar along the lines of what you said, and building off what Sean was bringing up. We play roles differently as fathers and mothers and stuff, and that's just, the kids are going to react to us differently. But what they have to see in the common grounds is that you and your wife are a team.
Yeah.
A binary team. In other words, you can't just play off of mom. I mean, they're going to try. Trust me. I mean, I have two teenage boys. They're going to try to play off mom or play off dad. But
Yep.
And it has to be open. You have to be a team in front of them, and they have to see that, and that sets them up for success down the road, for relationships and themselves down the line, because you're setting the example. Don't worry about. I'm the same way. I'm more the disciplinarian. But my wife and I have a good relationship, enough a good relationship where she respects my disciplinarianism, and then she is the softer side also. But the kids understand that, but they know that they're not going to get mom to play off me, and they're not going to get me to play off mom. They know that, all right, they kind of know where we stand, and we set the boundaries clearly. And you can't just go to mom and get this and not get it from me, and but they have to see that, and you have to be open with that.
Yep.
And of course, it all comes down to working on your relationship with your spouse, and it will transfer into your children. So
Yep. And that goes back to the patterns of choice internally. So we look internally, externally, what choices are you making to keep from drifting? Are you on purpose when we step across that line? Who are you showing up to be as father? Who are you showing up to be as husband when you step across that line? Because that communication there, and then because it's just like the baseball team. We always told the guys, like, hey, like, you are an individual in this team, but you are part of the team. So you have to play that individual role, but you also have to play the role of the team. And I think that's very important there as well. So, and I like that question too, because I have been being divorced twice. I have been in the situation of where it's opposites, and then coming into a situation as a blended family, how does that kind of work? So my wife and I right now at the beginning, our oldest was 9 at the time we met. So 9, 6, and almost like 1.5 when we met. So we really had to lay down like, hey, this is an us thing, and not, and the roles may change. They know that they can go to her for certain things, and they know they can go to me for certain things and so forth, but they can go to both of us if needed. Lots of times, the softer things, they feel a little bit more comfortable with her. Sometimes that comes into play with me too, depending on the topic. But it's Kale comes to me for most stuff. When he's really kind of like that emotional piece and feeling like sadness, he'll go to Amanda lots of times instead of me. So there's where the girls a lot of times go there. For me, they're like, hey, they want a hard answer, they come to me because they know that's the style I'm going to get. and so forth. So it's just kind of defining those roles. Again, internal patterns of choice. What patterns of choice do you have yourself? What patterns of choice do you have as a husband, wife, mother, father in that? And how does that fit into that pattern? So I want to move to the next point here too. After internal and external, we want to look at our patterns of choice and how that fits into these three key areas. So when we look at awareness, we're looking at awareness in our time, we're looking at awareness in our energy, and we're looking at awareness in our relationships. Those three areas are key areas of awareness that we want to continuously build. So we want to also continuously use the ARA sequence, assess, reflect, and adjust on these. So when we look at our first key area, time, the big questions is, and I also think that time is our most precious commodity, and these three questions here, and this is what I want you to answer to yourself now. If you got a pen and paper, you can write that down, stuff like that too. This is that time. These are the questions that you can kind of dive into right now to see where this awareness is at. What are you giving time to? Okay. And that's, what are you giving time to? Why are you giving time to that? And is this time moving you towards where you actually really want to go? So many times as fathers, we got work, we got things around the house, we got sports, we got plays, we got this, we got mowing to do, which I can't stand. Anybody else can't stand mowing?
Yeah, no thanks.
All of those different things. What are you actually giving your time to? Why are you giving your time to that? And is it moving towards where you actually want to be as a father? If it is not in the realm of fatherhood, then you need to seriously look at how you prioritize that point in time. Just like, there's different things that we need. When we look at internal awareness, are you giving time for yourself to grow yourself? That's a big, hey, there you go. So cute. Look at those curls. My oldest had those same curls, man. It's awesome. Awesome. So cute. But when you look at that, are you giving time for your internal self? Are you giving time to your external self? And the time that we're looking at here is very, very important, that we understand that we're present with the time we're actually devoting to that specific thing, whatever it may be. If we're not present with that time, we're basically just kind of running through it. Okay. Any questions with those three things? What are you giving time to? Why are you giving time to that? And is that time moving you towards where you want to go?
Is this something that you reflect on often, or is this something that you just think about maybe like after the end of the day, or is this like always running through your mind?
All of it. So these are increments of time. Okay, that's a great question, because this does deal with time. The ARA sequence, as you get used to using that, assess, reflect, and adjust. So when I devote my time to, like right now, like to this right here, why am I devoting time to this? Because it's that important on my priority list to help other fathers be badass fathers. That's why. Then after this, what am I going to devote my time to? Where is it going to? Why am I giving that? So on an incremental situation by situation, I will do that. But at the end of the day, I will also go back through my day as I lay my head down, look at my day, reflect on my day. I'll also do it there too. That way I have that opportunity to adjust tomorrow. And that's where, like, different situations, when we get to the other areas, energy levels and your relationships, that's where I can adjust, assess, reflect, and adjust. And time, like, what am I devoting my time to? And is it moving me towards where I actually want to be? If it's not, I need to make adjustments. And if it is, I need to keep that, because we're looking at what works, patterns that work. If it's a pattern that works, keep using it. If it's a pattern that's not working, stop using it. Does that make sense? Any other questions with time before we move on to energy? Awesome. Let's go to energy. All right, energy, very similar. What are you giving your energy to? Why are you giving your energy to that? And is this energy moving you towards where you actually want to go? Okay, so again, our energy levels, how much energy do you have in a day? If you're somebody who's like, hey, I got work, I got this, I got that, lots of times our energy by the time, especially for me, like as a teacher, like I deal with 110 kids every single day that are 12 and 13-year-olds, hormonal people. And so when I'm looking at that, I'm looking at like getting done, and I'm like, dude, I'm like wiped out. So what energy do I have to give left? And what we got to do is we got to switch our mindset around what energy do I have left to actually what energy am I giving things to? So when we look at our energy, we can always have 100% energy, but how do we actually have 100% energy all the time is a different question. That comes back to our internal, what are we giving time to? If I feel like I'm giving my time to things that matter, think about the energy level that you have. Think about the connection you have with your kids. Think about the energy that you're going to give to your kids or to your spouse. It's going to be a lot different when I think of that. I'm giving my time to things that are moving me towards where I want to go versus I'm giving my time to things I don't want to. So that's why it's very important to look at our time. Our energy levels, again, what are you giving energy to? Are you giving energy? Like, I'll just take work. Am I giving energy to the gossip around the school about this and that? If I'm giving my energy to negativity, guess what's happening to my energy level? It's down. Guess how I interact with my kids? Down. Why? Because my energy is going to something that's not moving me forward. When we give, it's a law of abundance. When we give good energy to good things that move us forward, we always feel energized. When we give good energy to things that are negative, that don't move us forward, we feel de-energized. I don't even know if that's a word, but I'm using it. So, so we feel de-energized or less energy. So any questions with our energy awareness?
No, love it.
Awesome. Cool. Now, relationships. Okay. And this, again, is going to be similar. What relationships are you valuing? Why are you valuing those relationships? And are these relationships moving you towards where you want to go? If you see the common theme in awareness is, am I moving towards where I actually want to go? But again, going back to the beginning of this, if you don't know where you're going, if you're stepping across a line saying, hey, I want to be a great dad, and you don't know exactly what that looks like and what that means to you, then how are you going to get there? Because all of these awareness pieces lead you to where you want to go. If you don't know that, you're not going to show up. You're not going to end up there. Just like saying, hey, I want to go on vacation. You just get in a car and drive. Well, shit, you might drive. I might drive east and run my car right off the, the bridge or right into the ocean. Well, I didn't want to end up there. Well, or I might just get in a car and drive north and be like, well, I wanted to go to a beach. Well, if you don't know where you want to go, how are you going to end up there? So again, a lot of these questions, what relationships are you valuing? Lots of times this is the hard part. And let me know if you guys have this, and this may be some questions that you have here. The relationships that we value sometimes, especially with our buddies, especially with our family, especially with people at work, aren't necessarily the relationships that are moving us forward. Anybody been in that boat or in that boat currently? Absolutely. Yeah. So we need to evaluate what relationships are there. So when I look at work, because when in the relationship piece, this is the kicker with the relationship. When you value a relationship, and let's say at work, somebody's being that gossip person, okay? If I value that relationship and I seek out that relationship every day and I hold that relationship close to me, what am I giving to that relationship? I'm giving it time and I'm giving it energy. The two things we talked about before. And when I give it time and give it energy to this relationship, I'm saying this is valuable in those negative areas. Guess what it's doing to the rest of me? It's taking my time away from moving me forward, and it's taking my energy away from moving me forward. So the value of this relationship is very, very important, who we surround ourselves with. That's one thing that's very important about the brotherhood. When we talk about guys there, I know every Monday night I can jump on there, and when I'm done on that call, even though I lead it, I still need it. When I when I'm off of that call and I'm done, I know my life is moving towards the direction I want to. I will always know I get that conversation. But if I go to somebody else, if I'm not getting that moving forward to where I want to go, those are relationships that you have to assess, reflect, and adjust. Hey, listen, there's people in my family I love to death. But do I want to value that relationship where I hold them close? The answer is no. There's people at work I value a lot, but what comes out of their mouth is a lot of negativity. Do I want to value that relationship and hold it close? The answer is no, because I'll start thinking like that too. So it's very important who we value, why we value these relationships, and determine, is it moving us forward? Doesn't mean they're bad people. Doesn't mean I don't like them. Doesn't mean I don't care about them. Doesn't mean I don't love them. It's just this relationship. Do I hold it close to myself and value it? And is it moving me towards? Because if it is, I'm willing to give more time and more energy to that relationship that moves me to a point of being a father that I really want. So when you connect with other guys and we have the conversations like we're having now or in the brotherhood with other fathers who are doing their best every single day to build great relationships with their kids, I feel that energy, and that energy grows, and that makes me feel like half the time I go up after the brotherhood and I hug different conversations. I'm going up and hug my kids, and my kids are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Man, we just had a great conversation, man. I love you. I love you so much." And they're like, "You're so weird." And I'm like, but they understand, like, hey, you just got off a call and you have all this energy. And they're like, all right, cool. But it allows me to assess, reflect, and adjust and really think about what relationships do I have? What energy am I giving? And what time am I giving to myself internally and to everything else externally? So in all of these, time, energy, relationships, any questions that come up in those three realms with what we just talked about?
I have one big question about the relationships part.
Yes.
Mainly people who I would love to bring up with me. Does that make sense?
Yep.
You and I have talked about this before, where like I just have some friends, they're good people and I love them, and I just want more for them, but I only have so much time and energy I'm willing to give them. And I mean, is it come to a point where I realize that the value is not there, or do I see the value in them and continue to put some extra energy and time into that? Because like my friends who I can think of, they are fathers, and I think it'd be awesome if we could do fatherhood stuff together.
Yep.
But at the moment, I don't want to be around him. Like I don't want him to be around my kids at the moment. You know what I mean? Because
Yep.
he's not bringing the right time and energy right energy
Boom.
around my kids. And so it's like, man, so do I put my time and energy into that? I mean, is that relationship valuable enough to me, or is that just something I really have to sit with myself and decide? Or
yeah, and I think that's a great question. I think what you said there too is what ultimately as a father, it comes back to when you put time and energy and relationships around your kids, what's that producing for your kids?
Yeah.
But also, what does it produce? You can handle more than them. So when you look at it, I can handle some BS from some people. Will I give it a bunch of time? Will I give it a bunch of energy? And I'm not saying your buddy's BS, but it might be. I can handle some negative stuff. I can handle some like, all right, you ain't showing up like I really want you to show up, and I don't want you around my kids, but I can handle some of that. I won't give a ton of time and energy to that, but what I will do is think about internal, external. What you can in time and energy, because like if you have love for this person, this would be great for them. And I love that you want to bring others along, because we all do. I think as a man, that's what we need to do. We need to bring other men along, period. That's what we do. But how can you do that for them where it doesn't seem like you're giving a bunch of time and energy that you're wasting? Is look at how can you create awareness in his life internally first. When you help him create internal, and not just like, hey man, was just thinking about you. I saw this quote and thought about you. Boom, throw that out to him. You know what I mean? Something like that it's not a bunch of time, it's not a bunch of energy, but it is enough to help that person that you care about in a manner internal to create internal awareness. Because when they create internal awareness, they also then now can create external awareness. But they have to you have to give them enough that you can tell whether or not they're going to do it for themselves. Because the problem is you can't push a wet noodle.
Right.
And that's what we don't want to do. You can pull people along, but pulling people along means they have to take the part of the responsibility too. So did that answer your question there, Sean?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Toby.
I'm just curious about this because obviously I don't, in my family, we don't have a blended family, obviously, but how do you deal with, say, other fathers and mothers and spouses, ex-spouses that really pull your energy down with some of their actions, some of their stuff they tell the kids?
Yep.
I know in your situation, you just set your boundaries in your house and this, you stay fast to that. And eventually kids are smart enough, and especially at a certain age, they will find out and figure things out on their own.
Yes.
But how do you, I mean, the struggle has to be real to not say anything and just kind of wait it out. You got to have a lot of patience for that. So maybe just go over that just a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's a great question because there are a lot of dads that are in that situation. Being a stepdad, I mean, I don't consider myself stepdad because Haley's my daughter, but I think that's one of the things too is different from, I was part of a blended family before where it was not that case. But in our family now, I'm dad, Amanda's mom. This is our relationship. This is our family, and we're a family unit. If I didn't tell you we had a blended family, nobody'd ever know, which is what we wanted to create. But that negativity coming from another, an ex or a spouse or a co-parent in this case is extremely difficult, but it comes back to that internal awareness. I become very internally aware of myself so that when those emotions do ramp up, my thought process is, how is my energy going to go into this situation? Again, let's go back one screen here. Energy. What are you giving? What am I giving my energy to at that point? Why am I giving my energy to that? And is this energy moving towards where we want to go? We're going to be a solid family unit. And if I'm giving that negative energy to the negativeness, then I'm just doing I'm creating the exact same thing. So is it tough? Yeah. Does my button get pushed? Yeah. Is it very hard? Yeah. Does my wife's button get pushed? Yeah. But that's where we have, from the very beginning, our time, our energy, and the relationships that we've built, we have identified exactly as what that looks like for our family. And as much as we can, we try to hold true to that. And sometimes, again, depending on the situation, sometimes things boil over and it's like you lose your shit sometimes here and there. Okay. But we always come back to center. And I think that's very important. If you don't know where your family is going and what that looks like, you need to figure that out. Because how can you give time, energy in your relationships to something you don't know what it looks like, or you don't really know what it is? So again, it comes back to, where do we want to go? What does that want to look like? Okay. All right. What time are we on here? All right, cool. Here's some strategies. Okay. Obviously I've said it already, ARA sequence. Okay. That's one strategy that we can use. We want to use it all the time. Jeff, thanks for asking that question earlier too. When do we use it? You want to get as good as you can at using it just like this. I know, talking with Toby, Toby uses the ARA sequence, but also the 4 agreements, which we talked about the other night. So we're looking at that. Boom. The more he uses those 4 agreements, the better he gets at it in the moment, over a certain time period, at the end of the day. Sean, I know you're big on the ARA sequencing too, and being able to really put that into effect. Boom, 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 like this. It takes practice. It literally has taken me, I've been using ARA sequence for like 3 years now, and I still working on it. I'm still building awareness with it. The more I build awareness with it, the more I get better at it. And it's always, I've learned that the more I create awareness, the more I know I need to create more awareness. That's what it. And the next one is journaling. I'll get to you real quick, Jeff. But after journaling, it's huge. It's huge. It's huge. It's huge. Jeff, you're going through the Get Your Fire Back challenge on day 2, and writing that I am statement, dude, is powerful. You know what I mean? Like, and just kind of, you're going to start to feel, and this is what I'm going to ask you in a couple of days, is how do you see that showing up in your life throughout the day? You write it in the morning, but how do you show? You probably thought about it once or twice today, as you went through that. So what's your question, Jeff?
So, yeah, I mean, that definitely was powerful. I was pretty juiced today. I had
Nice.
Much better energy today. I felt good. I got into a bit of an altercation with one of my peers, my colleagues, and I walked away and I was just like, you know what? Like, why? What's the point of this?
Mhm.
Does this do me any good? Does this
Mhm.
do him any good? So I just dropped it. Whereas usually I would have dwelled on it and like, I can't believe he made me look like an idiot back there in that meeting. And, but it just rolled off.
Correct.
Um,
And that's a great point.
but my,
Before you go on there, think about what we just talked about here today. What were you giving your energy to? Why? And was it moving you forward? What were
yeah.
you giving your time, and what relationship were you giving? It just wasn't worth it. It wasn't moving you to where that I am statement was. So just do something else. So what was your question here, Jeff?
So I think that's fantastic. That's the first time I've heard of that. And I think it's fantastic. Being aware of your energy, your time, and your relationships, why you value them, and if they're moving you in the right direction. But my question is, and I guess it's more so a question on how to develop good habits in general.
Mhm.
How do you develop that habit? Because I go through life kind of on autopilot. I try to be as aware as possible, but sometimes I just don't have that awareness. I don't stop and just think about it. I just kind of
Yep.
do it on autopilot, and it's just so hard to kind of develop that habit.
Absolutely.
Do you have
Great
any
question.
like
Yes, absolutely. 100%. Great question. I'm going to do the ARA sequence. Okay. Assess, reflect, and adjust. That is practicing it. And the journal that you have here, I would actually practice it because you have with the bonus too, you have the morning visualization journal and the evening reflection journal. The evening reflection journal is the ARA sequence. That is one thing that I would do. Is journaling is a very, very powerful thing to create good habits, but you have to be consistent with it and commit to yourself. So if you're like, hey, I want to ARA at the end of every day, that second sheet of that journal I gave you, boom, take that and just do it in your journal every day, or print that out and fill it out every night. But one of the techniques is a lot of people like to do it with a pen and paper, like your handwritten
Yep.
to what you do with your
Neural
your
connection.
your neural connection to your eyes, to your hands. It goes up, it goes down, and it stays here. It's a more powerful bonding agent for your neural connections that you make in your conscious and subconscious. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is journaling. And here's 3 techniques that I use all the time. Again, I just talked about the morning and evening, but it has to be consistent. So when you're doing your I am statement every morning, we're training your brain to rewrite the program. So one of the things that we do as well, it's not on here. We do a 45-day purposeful man journal. And what that is a 45-day journal. You write the same 6 things. So like what you're saying there is the habit stacking is a limiting belief for you. We do the 45-day journaling cycle to rewrite that limiting belief. It's a pain in the ass, but it works. And that's what you're doing with the I am statement. We're changing the thought from this to saying, hey, I just run throughout my day, to here's how I show up every single day. So when you step across that line, you know what the line is, and you're committing to yourself to say, hey, I'm showing up as this. Other journaling techniques, a brain dump, man. I love brain dumps because my brain is all over the place, and anything that comes into my brain, I just write the shit down, and then I close the book, and then I come back afterwards. Probably like maybe it might be like a couple hours, and then usually it's the next day. I'll come back, look at everything I dumped on that page, and sort it out. Oh, here's what I need now. Okay, this is awesome. Great idea here. Let's do this. And I'll sort those things out. Visualization, I always do, and mapping. I am a system person. I'm a math guy. Okay, I'm a baseball player. It's systems. Here's what you do. Here's the steps to swing. Here's the steps to throw. So for me, what I call mapping is stepping it out. Not detail, so detailed that I get overwhelmed by the detail, but from point A to point D, what the hell are those points? Like point A to point B, what do I get? Point A to point Z, no matter how many steps it is, like, hey, what the hell am I going to do from here to here? So having that pattern or that map allows me to move through it smoother than not having a map at all. And that's what I did prior to creating awareness internally, externally, in my time, in my energy, and in my relationships. I was just going, woo. What I did is I mapped it out throughout my day. What does it look like? How am I showing up? What am I aware in each one of those areas? And then saying, here's what it looks like at the end. Okay. Any questions after that, Jeff?
I mean, that's a lot, I would like to do that. It just sounds like I'd love to do that. It's just
I would
you know.
stay with what we're doing right now.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
It's going to have to, it's work. Jeffrey, let me ask you a quick question.
And
When you go into a dark room, what's the first thing you do?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, what's that?
When you go into a dark room, what's the first thing you do?
Oh, turn on the light. Yeah.
With your body, with your arm. Exactly. But you don't think about that, do you?
Right. Yeah.
You
Right.
just do this. Yeah. Because you've repeated it
that's
enough times.
Basically it. Exactly. It will come, but it will take you repetition and time.
Yep.
And eventually, believe it or not, you'll get to that level where it will be that simple.
Yep.
So.
And this is where, so when we look at
Sorry,
the air, no, you're good. That's great. It's awesome. When you look at all the things that I gave to you, that's a lot of tools. Okay. Now, which one works for you? What I would suggest right now, because you are with the 6-week Get Your Fire Back challenge, just stick with the I am statement right now. That's it. Now, if you want to do like a brain dump, sure. You got a lot of stuff like, hey, I feel this energy building up like in my brain. I got so many things going on, dude, just dump it all out and let it sit there, if that's what you want to do. But for right now, just that consistency, we want to, for what you're telling me is you want to build consistency and commitment to self. When you do that, that is your I am statement every single morning right now. As you progress through that, we'll build more confidence with that. You'll get those wins, and then we can add another thing on top of that layer. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, that I can definitely manage that. And then you said there's a couple of forms too that I can print out and use.
Yep. When I sent you that in the bonus, when I sent you the email down at the bottom, and I believe it's also in day 1 of the Fireback Challenge, down below it says bonus material. It's the morning and evening journal. The morning goes through like a visualization technique that I like to use and teach. And the evening basically goes through the ARA sequence. So that's something, if you're like, hey, each evening, you know what, I like to do that, you can follow that pattern. So you can go back to day 1 in the program, in the 6-week challenge, and it should be there, or go back to that email I sent you as well.
Okay. Yeah, I see it.
Awesome. And those are just good techniques that use. And again, what I like to do is I like to do it for usually a 45-day time period, a 30-day or 45-day time period. Because to me, I want to mix it up, do those things. There's some things I do every single day. But there's also things that I use for a time period for a purpose. And that's, what am I giving my time to? What am I giving my energy to? What am I building that relationship with? So like the 45-day journaling, Purposeful Man Journal, it's 45 days. So boom. If I want to stack and change a habit, it's 45 days, not the 27, because there has to be that point in time when we create awareness and create habits that it sucks so bad you don't want to do it, but you have to push through it. Have you like 75 Hard, if you guys have heard of 75 Hard? You guys heard of 75 Hard?
Yeah.
Have any of you done it?
I have tried it twice and have not done all 75 days yet.
Yeah. And I know one of the guys, Matt Rhoda, he's in the battlefield. He's done it like 3 times. Like, more power, man. I did it once. I'm like, all right. Like, but day 65, I was like, fuck it. And like, I don't want to do it anymore. But I was so close. Like, every time I've done 10 Purposeful Man journals. No, 11 of them. I've done 11 Purposeful Man journals for 45 days. The same 6 things written every morning when I wake up for 45 days in a row. Like, on day 34 to 36, I want to burn the whole freaking journal, because I'm like, I know this, I got it, I'm done. But it's pushing past that point to automaticity. I don't even know if that's a word, but I'm using it too. So we want to create
That'll work.
We want to create these habits, but we want it to be automatic. And once you push past the point of the suck, that's when your brain actually will absorb it to neural connection, where it'll be automatic. And again, that's thoughts. When it's like drinking water, stuff like that, a gallon of water a day, it's a little bit different. But my thought process from my first journal, I'm a badass. Like I'm a badass planner. No, wait, hold on a sec. I am a badass. Shit. Oh, big picture person and detailed planner. That was one of mine. That was my I am statement for that cycle that I did. I still remember all of them because I planted them in my mind, have created so much awareness around them that it told my brain and subconscious that this is so important that we need to remember it over and over again. So, all right. Our goals of awareness, okay? To know who you are showing up as internally, externally, to know where you want your growth to be going, and to make adjustments consistently. Sorry about that. But this is the key word, consistently. So that kind of wraps up our evening tonight, guys. Just if there's any further questions or anything like that, let's get them out and we'll do that. We'll take probably like, it's 50. So we're over about 5 minutes. We'll take about 5 minutes to answer any questions that anybody has, and so forth. So any questions?
The only question I would really have is about that visualization part in the journaling. Is that something that you say visualization in a journaling? Are you like writing out the big picture, or are you meditating for a minute and then journaling about what you're meditating? You know what I mean? Is it vision board style?
Let me pull it. I'll actually pull it up here for you. So let me stop this share. And great question. And I will reshare this here. Can you guys see that 6-week visualization reflection journal?
Yep.
All right, cool. So
Yes.
let me scroll down here. And again, this is how you utilize the journal. And then this is the morning visualization. So again, we have the I am statement there. I think I am statements are so important and so incredibly important to change our beliefs about ourselves, because that's where it really comes back to. If you don't believe that you can be a great father, you're not going to be a great father. If you don't believe you can be a great husband, you're not going to be a great husband, great man, same thing. If you don't believe it, ain't going to happen. So we need to change those statements to those limiting beliefs, those blind spots, and get rid of them, kick them out, and then put ones in that actually work for us. Okay. And then the next thing is 3 things that you're grateful for. So it's practicing who I'm showing up as the I am statement, what I'm grateful for, because gratitude, and this is another one there, Jeff, that you can do very easily. Gratitude changes everything. When you're grateful for just like, it doesn't have to be big things, just little things, man. Like this morning, like my wife came in and gave me a hug, like first thing. Like she usually wakes up before me, but I was up changing. She comes in, just gives me a hug. And I'm like, damn, I'm like, this is fucking awesome. I'm like, it's great. Like I'm a physical touch person. And like, she hugs me. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, because I'm like tired in the morning. I don't like waking up that early. And I was like, yeah, let's fucking do this thing. Let's go. Like, it's awesome. So that's just one of those things like this morning that was very, very like not nice for me this morning. So, or just like tonight I had a grilled cheese and I haven't had one for a while. It's fucking delicious. I'm just grateful for that. And every morning before my feet hit the ground, my number one thing before my feet hit the ground, and I don't touch my feet on the ground unless I do this, and this is an everyday thing, is I look at my ceiling and I just open my eyes and be like, damn, I'm just lucky. Like, I thank you for giving me this day. Whatever it is out there, like, thank you. Because I got another day and I realized that millions of people did not wake up today, but I did. So shame on me. To me, my thought process is shame on me if I don't go after it. And so that's just me. You can take on that if you want to as well. I don't care. Big 3, like, what do you want to accomplish? And then this is the big one here too, is in detail, describe how your day will go. This doesn't have to be long. Again, you don't have this, but if you take 2 to 3 sentences about how your day is actually going to go and describe that, like, man, I'm going to be present. I'm going to be full of energy, and I'm going to be this. My meetings are going to go great today. I'm going to have this connection. I'm going to love my wife today. I'm going to show up for my kids today. We're going to have a blast today. Like all these different things. And it can different, like you got something going like Thanksgiving. Man, I'm going to wake up with so much gratitude. We're going to enjoy this delicious meal together. I'm going to look at my wife. She's going to look at me, and we're just going to have that twinkle in our eye. Like, damn, this is awesome. This is what family's about, and things like that. So put those things in there, because that's actually how you're going to show up. And think about it. If you do these things each morning, shit, how much energy do you got throughout your day? Like, you don't have like, all right, work's done. Okay, some of that sucks. Some of it was great, awesome, cool, but we're doing this because I'm showing up like this every single day. And that's the difference made between your time. What are you giving your time to? What are you giving your energy to? What relationships are you giving that? The biggest relationship is yourself. Jeff, for you, Sean, does that answer your question?
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate that for definitely. That's big.
And I'll send this out if you guys want that. So, and then
No, I have a question. Sorry,
Yep.
I have a question about describing how your day will go.
Mhm.
Can you get like really audacious
yeah,
with like how your day goes? Like, can you say like, oh, I'm gonna have a breakthrough today,
Yeah.
or I'm going to
listen, I
I'm
swear a
going
lot.
to drive a supercar or something like that. I don't know.
Whatever it is that man that's gonna gonna
Yeah.
fuel that energy, you know what I mean? Because this is how, and for me especially, and the way I design this is when you lay out, like if you know stuff's going to go on that day and you lay it out, like if I go into saying, hey, I have I have 2 business meetings tomorrow, dude, my detailed picture, when I visualize in the morning, dude, I'm showing up as a badass motherfucker. Like I'm coming in there and I'm going to house some shit up. We're going to make a plan. I'm going to help those people out because I bring fucking great value to the table, and we're going to kick some shit. I'm going to make some money. I'm going to get out of teaching. We're going to do this fucking thing. We're going to create a lot of freaking good stuff, and we're going to kick some ass together and help a fuck ton of people have fun and make a shit ton of money. That's my description. You know what I mean? Like,
Hell yeah.
dude, that's my mindset. I've been saying that stuff to myself coming up on these 2 meetings. I've been saying that to myself the last couple of days. Am I nervous about it? Damn right. But the energy that I got going into, you know what I mean? If I go like, oh, I don't know, I'm building that energy to, I don't know. I don't want to build that, dude. I got a lot of fucking value in this world, and I'm going to share it. And I'm going to leave it because when I put my feet on the ground, that line is saying I'm going to give it every single thing I got. So if I show up and don't do that to that meeting, I did not keep the commitment to myself. And that commitment to myself is more important than any commitment I've ever made. Because I'm the one that's my life. I'm the one that counts. So that is where those different things that come up, that's where I go into that describe. Yeah, manifest, man. Manifest. Absolutely. The evening reflection, you can see what it is there too. What's your win for the day? It's important to celebrate the wins because we don't enough, and then assess, reflect, and adjust. So it's just that's the evening one. So any other questions?
Sure.
All good? Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you guys being on here, having those chats. I think it was awesome. And I just appreciate it. And anybody else that I'm going to put this probably up on YouTube. I'm going to send it out so I can figure out how to put it on YouTube, but it's going to be out there. And then we'll do that and probably split some things up here too, if you guys don't mind being out on the web for anything that you guys are cool with that.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Sweet. So
We're
appreciate
good.
you guys. Anything else?
That's it.
Nope. Just appreciate Clay for putting us on, and hopefully reach out to some fathers out there and
Oh, yeah.
to help them and help their kids and help their families. So
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys, and look forward to continuing. And anything else that you guys have, please let me know. I will send Jeff, you have that. I'll send Toby and Sean, I'll send you guys that link. Sound cool?
Appreciated.
Awesome, guys. Appreciate you. Thank you. Have a great rest of the night. Keep that energy. Make sure you know where your time's going, where your energy's going, and where your relationships are going. Cross that line and go get it, guys. So appreciate it. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
later.
Yes, absolutely. Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you.